Students between 15 to 18 years of age, we felt were academically prepared, but they were not prepared for the real world. There was a massive gap between education and I call it employability. Our initiative bridges the gap by creating a safe but real corporate exposure environment. We say we're giving you an experience of experiencing how interviews happen, experiencing rejection, you know, and that is what the gap is. So we don't want you to be prepared for an internship. We want you to be prepared for an interview.
Hi, welcome to my channel, Grit, Grind and Gratitude, where we talk to micro entrepreneurs about their journey of becoming a micro entrepreneur and walking that path. Grit, Grind and Gratitude shares stories of resilience, of purpose, and values led entrepreneurs who are shaping their futures boldly.
Hi Vidhi, welcome to Grit, Grind and Gratitude. I met you a few months ago at a social event and I was very excited to know about your journey with Unique Nation. So tell us, introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dipandita. It's just such an honor. And thank you for being there as a support system. Like you said, that Unique Nation is our baby, and the beginning of Unique Nation was purely as I don't want to use the word, but this is how it is. We were the mothers struggling for our children, and that is what gave birth to Unique Nation. So yeah, I mean, I would say that being a part of Unique Nation, myself and Arundhati have taken this as not only a challenge, but we've really given answers to all those struggling parents, in our community, in our society.
Tell us a little more about what does Unique Nation offer?
Okay, so if I look at it, I'm going to be talking about the internships. I'm going to keep that as a priority for Unique Nation. Educating children in a different way has always been the motive for Unique Nation, and that is how teen internship fairs were born. So our journey began with a very small observation. Students between 15 to 18 years of age, we felt were academically prepared, but they were not prepared for the real world. So I call it as they were not real world ready, honestly. And through our work with Unique Nation and many other community platforms, we were constantly interacting with corporates and young individuals. So what we realized was that everyone had just one question, what do our children do during summers? What is it that we need to do to enhance their skills, to utilize their time, get them off the gaming and get them off their regular wasting time? What we really don't understand at this moment is our children are way beyond our imagination. They're not wasting their time. Every time a child is actually behind a Game Boy or behind a PlayStation, I'm sure their thought processes are different. I personally have interacted with children who fancy playing games, but is that really wrong? No, it's not, because what is that person thinking? That child is actually thinking, how do I make a game? How do I launch another product, where the gaming world is more enhanced? So that is innovation. And we realized that there was a massive gap between education and I call it employability. I don't even know if that's a word, but I call it employability. That's when the idea of creating structured internship opportunities for teenagers came in. So it is not just to give them work exposure or how to utilize their time. It's not that, but it is to help them understand themselves better. This is very, very important. We never had anybody to guide us, so we just wanted to bring that out. So what started as a small initiative has now evolved into a full scale teen internship fairs where students interact with real companies. You've been there, you've done that for us, so you can relate it to it much better. And when they go through interviews, they experience more professional environment much early in life. So when you say that I need to prepare for the university, so you make your projects, you create a portfolio that can be submitted. But little we understand that it is very important for them to be in the real world, to actually understand what are they doing. Are they even putting in the right effort? Are they going in the right direction? And you won't believe, Dipanta, that a lot of these people, a lot of these children came back to us saying that we don't even know that were we actually looking at the right stream. Because when we were young, going back to our times, it was always humanities, commerce, and science. Have we thought anything beyond that? Anybody who takes science, it's either engineering or doctors. Anybody who takes commerce, it was either being a CA or being into finance, and that's about it. Anybody who is doing humanities is either a home science person or somebody who wants to do psychology or political science. Have we ever thought anything beyond that? No. So this is where children come back to us. I would like to reiterate here, we are not counselors. We don't want to do counseling, but we want to be there to give these children the exposure they have always, probably denied or didn't know had. So this is where the journey was.
So that's very interesting to know how Unique Nation was born, and especially the teen internship programs. Delve a little deeper as to how did you identify this need in the market?
Let me put it this way. This has been the biggest need. It is the need of early exposure. The reason I'm using these words is, Dipa, because I want our audience to understand how to address this, not just look at it as an internship. It is an early exposure. So I'm a mother of a 14-year-old child. Arundhati is a mother of an 18-year-old child who's now in the university. And we both understand that today's education system focuses heavily on academics, but very, very little. Maybe now they're gearing up, but we feel that very little on communication skills, handling rejection, understanding workplace dynamics, discovering career interests. So you see where I was coming from. Career interests is something that we need to speak to the child, not impose it on the child. Has anyone done that? Do we do that consciously? How many of us do that? It's a question. So parents are increasingly looking at various platforms, because we're all working parents. We have our own world to look after. So what do? We get dependent on what is available outside. So these are the platforms that prepare their children beyond textbooks. Our initiative bridges the gap by creating a safe but real corporate exposure environment. So it's not just about getting an internship. Like I said, it's about learning how to face interviews. It's about building confidence, understanding discipline and responsibility. That's the real need we addressed, and we would like to continue our focus. That's why when you always, especially hear me talk or hear Arundhati talk, we don't say that, we're giving you internships. We say we're giving you an experience of experiencing how interviews happen, experiencing rejection, and that is what the gap is. So we don't want you to be prepared for an internship. We want you to be prepared for an interview. So we start off our entire journey by helping them build a resume, by helping them build a LinkedIn profile. Who does that? Which school does that? Which university does that? Do our parents also focus on that? It's not about, go and get yourself a job. It's not about go and do something. You can't use that language with our children. We want them to be prepared for this early exposure. So we are that gap. We are that bridge that's bridging that gap. So that is how we found out.
So coming back to this, when a young teenager comes to Unique Nation, how will their journey look like?
Okay, so first, when the young teenager comes to us, the first thing that's in their mind is a question. Am I going to get the job? That's a question. But no, the journey begins by us first preparing them for an interview, which is building a CV, having a LinkedIn profile, getting them absolutely groomed well. So grooming also becomes a very essential part of our journey. Once these three things are in place, they are then put on to a portal where they can actually look at the corporates that are registered, look at the jobs that are registered, and they take a decision where to apply, how to apply, and how to fill an application. Once this is done, they are then going to be a part of the big internship fair that happens, where they come and get an in-person interview done with all our corporates. That is how a child's journey is built the minute they register for the Unique Nation Fair.
Very, very nice, and addressing a very important need in the market, actually.
Absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
we hear so many times when people with good exposure, good corporate, good university degrees, they rock up at corporates, and then they can't find why they're not able to succeed there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so employability is a very important aspect that you touched upon.
It is 100%. And that is I think that's happened with us as well, right? I mean, I don't know, how much do you remember about your first job? Let me put this question to you as well. When you got yourself first time when you were in an interview, how did you feel?
Yeah, I can't even remember that far, actually.
So that is how it is. I asked myself that question, and I was nervous. I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know how to look. I didn't know whether am I supposed to put in what kind of right makeup on, what is going to be the eye contact that I need to make with the person, and the kind of questions that come to us. How do I address these questions? Because the least I was talked about and asked was about my education, honestly. I was asked about what does my future look like? I was asked about what are my dreams and aspirations. I was asked about how do I vision myself 10 years down the line. These are the questions which nobody knows, nobody answers, nobody has even thought about. So this is how we help the child. And we do have children coming down to us and asking us, and that is what keeps us very, very helps us to keep this conversation very, very personal, and give it a very emotional touch.
Very, very nice. An exciting journey, actually. When you look back on your journey, tell us what are your high points or wow moments during this journey?
If you personally ask me, me and Arundhati both have our own different high points, but I would say our together high points were managing to get 100 plus corporates. Deepa, if I put it out, this was the most challenging part of our life as well, and now the high points as well. Going to a corporate and telling them to give internships to a 15-year-old, there were rejections that we had to face. Because what would a 15-year-old do? What is their capacity? Do I just have to give them a certificate? I'll anyway just do it. And we didn't want that from a corporate. We wanted the corporate to take equal responsibility, not only to use this resource in the right way, but to also mentor them, to educate them, to give them a real life experience of what a corporate world actually look like, not scare them, not scare them away. So that is what a high point looks like. And achieving 100% internship placement in selected curated events was something that we always wanted, and it happened. So when I had 200 students, we managed 200 jobs. When we had 500 students, we managed 250 jobs. And that is what I would say, our high points, our milestones, these are what they are. Yeah.
So achieving 100 plus corporates to come in to offer their internship positions to your students, and placing all of your students into corporates for their internships is what I hear as your high points. Are there
Absolutely. I think, sorry, but I would also like to add over here, and I would like to name a certain corporates who've been our partners from day one. I mean, they have taken, we appreciate the effort that they've put in, and we appreciate their understanding, like partnering with brands like Forever 52, who actively mentored and engaged with the youth. So this helps us as well, to push things forward. And we look forward to these kind of corporates who take it personally to mentor these children, and not just look at it like offering an internship. So yeah, I would definitely like to add this.
any other high points that come to your mind?
um, I would say seeing students come back more confident. I think that is what it is. From where it started to where it has been right now, I think students coming back very, very confident, aware, and more focused. That's definitely a very big high point.
Lovely, lovely. You're actually making a very meaningful contribution to children's lives.
Yeah, because honestly, Deepa, this kind of an experience has changed how I see my future, and if I'm able to contribute, if we are able to contribute a very little contribution that we can do, I think this is like the biggest high point that we have had.
Moving and changing stances a bit, moving ahead, I would like to know that there must have been many challenges in the way as well.
Yeah,
So tell us a
100%.
little bit about your challenges that you faced.
I would like to break this up. So let's see, the biggest challenge I think I've had is with the corporates. It's a sort of convincing journey that's been like the biggest challenge that I've faced. Also, I would call it mindset barriers, where initially parents and companies didn't fully understand why teenagers need internships. So this had to change. So bringing this out, talking to them, literally took us. I think it was like an emotional breakdown as well, because we were trying to approach people who did not have that mindset. So that was like the biggest challenge that we faced. Sort of a corporate alignment, when I put it that way, convincing companies that it is not wasting time, it is investing time. Investing time requires effort. Putting this effort is going to give you a satisfaction. It's not every time that you invest time just to make money. You invest time to make a better future. I don't think that Tatas would have ever thought that investing time was always only going to bring money. It has brought in a lot beyond that. For every person who's joined in, it has been a journey. So that is what I feel. Expectation mismatch. Expectation mismatch, when I say, it's basically students sometimes expect quick success. Can I put it that way? Is it really quick success? Is that even existing? No, it's not. So without understanding this process, they were always believing that it's going to be quick success. I'll join my father's business. I'll join my uncle's business. I will eventually do business. There were so many children, you won't believe, who came down to us and said, you know what, we want to be entrepreneurs. We want to drop out of our school and become entrepreneurs. Would you help us to do that? I said, Now that's hitting the right. Is that hitting the right note? That was the question. We don't want you to leave studies. We want you to focus on studies because this is a marriage. Education and employment. It is not about where you work. It is not about whether you have a father who's going to leave a legacy business and that's where it ends. That's the mindset our children came with. So I felt that expectation needed to be falling in the right place. And then came the final thing, which was operational scale. How do we do this? Managing multiple students, companies, expectations, everything simultaneously was very complex. I think we had our own ups and downs. We did also get into these complexities and did lose a little bit of our journey in between, but then we got back. And that was the biggest challenge that we had to face, keeping everything and everyone together.
Lovely, lovely. Let me just quickly recap for our listeners. So I heard that there is a lot of mindset challenges that you had, mindset change
Absolutely.
challenges that you had, both from the corporate side and the parents, where the question was, what would why do our children need internship? Why does a teenager need
Absolutely.
internships? And then the whole managing of a event where so many corporates and so many students were there together,
Absolutely.
that was another
Absolutely.
challenge. Any other
Absolutely.
challenge that you can think of?
In terms of challenges, no, I think I've covered everything that we could. I would always, I think, talking to a parent and talking to companies and then talking to children. You see, there are these three different verticals that we are handling at a time. So, the challenges of talking to a parent to make them understand, that your thought process has to also change. That's when we will be able to address the questions in a right way to a child. Honestly, Deepa, I think we all need to just stop and think through, that are we justifying the time and money that we spend in educating this child? Are we doing it right? It is not all about talking to a counselor. It is not all about going to tuition classes. It is not about just giving them exposures and by making them learn new skills. So here definitely I would want to highlight that interviews and internships is definitely one thing that we do, but we also focus on workshops and skill building. That is a different vertical to Unique Nation, within Unique Nation, where for us skill building and workshops is equally a priority. Why do we do that? Why is it a priority equal to internships? Is because, like I said, from building a CV to grooming to different kinds of workshops where we focus on speed networking, we focus on networking per se, so these kind of workshops are something that is always a part of the internship fair. And it is very, very important because our parents, very little do they realize that it is not about a workshop. Don't spend money to learn AI. Why do you want to learn AI? How is it going to help you further? You need to ask those questions. Like, for example, let me put it this way, learning music is also a very big part of your journey. Why do we teach children music? I've heard parents say that, children who know a different form of art, it will help them in case they're not successful in their work. No, that's wrong. I'm not learning art because it's going to help me earn money on the side. I'm learning art because it's going to show me how disciplined and how stable my life can be when I'm artistic, when I'm learning music, when I'm learning art, when I'm learning theater. It's a very important part of grooming yourself. Your personality comes out actually better, So this is what I'm, trying to focus on and trying to talk to parents, that focus on the right thing, but have a right message sent across. Not because you have time, go and do karate. Not because you have time, go and do music. Not because you have time, you need to do something. It's because to enhance. My son is into football. So I always give this example to all the parents that just because he is in football, he also swims, he also plays tennis. Why? Because football needs a supporting sport where swimming and tennis helps in strengthening, while football helps him focus on the running and putting in his energy across. So this is what I mean. Everything is a marriage, and try to correlate this so the child can also understand. I'm doing this because this is the reason. So yeah, I mean, and this is the message that I would very loud and clear want to put it across.
Good, got that. I hope our listeners also are listening to this.
I hope so too.
Message.
I hope so too. I mean, I'm always open ears to listen to anybody who would come back to us with questions. But how we have shaped our futures and our journey. I think I would probably take a moment here, going back to our childhood. Our parents always used to tell us that I am working because I can give you a better life. When a parent is very frustrated, that's the first thing that used to come back to us, that I am, and parents never used to, they were never able to give us that kind of time, or maybe I would say they never thought of that exposure that they could give us. We are in a different space altogether, and we should utilize this in a much better way.
Cool. So, Vidhi, looking back at your journey of running Unique Nation, what will be your words of wisdom for people who are starting out on their entrepreneurship journey now?
Sure. I would say be okay with rejections. All right. It's part of the growth. You've just started off. That's first thing that you're going to face, which is rejections. Whether you're doing, whether you're going to be doing selling out a product or a service, the first thing you're going to face is a no. Be okay with that. It's all right. It's a part of the growth, right? We all have faced that. And the other thing is always learn how to communicate. This is your biggest asset. Be more approachable, be more understanding. Try and understand your client better. Try and understand your business partners better. That is going to be the key. It is your asset. That is one thing that you should definitely focus on. And I have always been a person, Deepa, who's been very curious, because I've always wanted to know more about things, more about my, I would say more about how do my clients perceive my work as, or who are my, I would say, how do they throw challenges at me, and how do I, basically overcome that. So staying curious, I would always say your career will evolve, and that's okay. It's okay to ask questions. So I've been like that. And most importantly, I would say, don't stop. Don't give up. That's what I would like to say.
Thank you so much, Vidhi. It was lovely speaking to you and listening to your journey and your wow moments, your challenges, and your words of wisdom. Your journey highlights a lot of grit, lots of grind, and lots of gratitude for what the universe has brought forth on your table. Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, thank you very much for allowing us to come on this platform and to address this to the audience. And I think it's giving us a lot of satisfaction, that we have been able to bring this on the table. We've been able to talk to so many confused, unanswered parents. It's very overwhelming to also talk to these children who've been in a sort of a fixed point, in a position where they don't know where to go ahead from. So yeah, I would say thank you very much, hands down. And like you said, gratitude to the universe, absolutely, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
If you like this interview, please don't forget to subscribe by pressing the bell icon and follow us on our social media handles as we talk to more and more micro entrepreneurs who are living their dreams boldly.